their ability blueprints in Unreal Engine. I coded the ability system. I did all the emote systems, and I was largely responsible for a lot of the non-architecture based stuff. And I realized how powerful the toolkit was, and how lucky we are to have tools like Unreal Engine to build with. Now the reality is that we also realized that our game was not going to likely take people away from their sessions in Overwatch. It was likely not going to take people away from their sessions in Smite. And we're not here for a gold star and a consolation prize. We want people to play the game, and we want people to come back, and we want people to enjoy the game. So in building this game, we really realized, okay, not only can we build and ship something really beautiful and really nice and fun, but we also should be focused a little bit maybe on the type of game we build, instead of just building something that seems. When we started building, we didn't fully think through in 2018 every single angle of this. And after building a full game, the learning experience there was priceless, because when we started thinking about what game would really work, this was actually as a game that many of you may or may not know, called Among Us, was just starting out. It was early 2020. It had not gone viral yet. And, my team and I, my co-founder and I, Dave, were over the moon with this experience that felt social. It felt post-pandemic. It felt new. It also felt accessible to all different kinds of audiences. And when and then we started thinking, well, what are the limitations of this experience? This can be so much more. And what we believed was that this is a new type of genre that has a huge, amazing history ahead of it. That there is so much unwritten in the social gaming genre. And that social deduction is one social game, but social gaming as a whole is really just a new phenomenon. Obviously, you could say that what happens in Fortnite is social, and to a degree, those types of games are social. Call of Duty's social in that you have chat and stuff, but they are largely far more competitive than they are sort of connective. And what we saw was an entirely new canvas to paint and to innovate on. We also saw a blue ocean, which is a term that they use often in the tech world or the business world, which means a new area where there's a ton of value, but not so many competitors. By contrast, first-person shooters, RPGs, MMORPGs, these types of games are not blue oceans. They're very, very crowded spaces with legacy products that people are very loyal to. So if we were to make a shooter game, we would be going up against and compared with, and we should be compared with every other shooter game, of which there are, infinite. And the leaders in that space are titanic. And the amount of engineering and the amount of experience and the amount of competition that we're going head to head with in those genres is immense. And it's quite unlikely, and I think it's quite unrealistic, even with a 100-person studio, which we didn't start with, we didn't have. Even with a multi-100-person studio, the idea of replacing Call of Duty or replacing these AAA but behemoths in various genres seemed very unlikely. So the reason why we built this game is because we believe, one, that this game is just the beginning, and that we're at the beginning of an entirely new genre, which doesn't happen very often in the history of gaming. New genres don't get created that often. You can look at battle royales as one of the most recent genres before that. Again, now one of the most crowded spaces. But luckily, what we saw was that not only were we right, because we had already been building this game for about 6 months by the time Among Us ended up hitting its sort of peak concurrent users. But we felt we were doing high fives because we were so excited to see that we were so right about the social deduction genre. And then, we were also right that they didn't innovate, that they didn't bring the expansive experience that users were looking for, that they didn't respond to the needs of their user base. And that's why when you see people who are playing social deduction games, largely they're playing their own hacked or modded versions of Among Us, because there's not the scenarios, the experiences, the diversity of gameplay that people want to see. And so understanding why this genre is actually quite profound. My fiance was playing the game with her friends, and she's not a gamer. She doesn't play video games, but even she was playing social deduction, right? And this type of piercing of mainstream culture that happened with social deduction is something you have to understand makes this genre very, very special, accessible, and most importantly, social. And so now that we've seen the explosiveness of the NFT, mostly around profile pic projects, which are almost exclusively about identity use case. Obviously, people trade them and people want to make money, but the core utility there was one of identity. I want to belong to this tribe, right? And what could be more useful in a world, in a whole new industry that is NFT, that is primarily fueled by an identity use case? What could be more impactful than a social game? We all know that metaverses, with people just kind of running around empty rooms and empty landscapes, don't really have the fun factor. It's not, when I say that, I'm being nice. They're not fun, right? So we need a bridge between that sort of VR world of the future, the Ready Player One world, which obviously you guys all know I'm obsessed with, and where we are today. And I believe that the bridge is social games. Now, this is a theory, and I believe that we are in this unique place as a social game to not only innovate and bring a higher quality to a genre that we love and that we think is wildly underdeveloped, and that has a huge, huge future ahead of it. It also has over 500 million players globally, so a huge audience to tap into. And then not many huge competitors, not many people focused on this genre. It's a potential perfect lane for the first crypto game, and not to mention NFTs as a core use case and the social enabling of that core use case through this ecosystem makes total sense. It feels to me as though what people want by hanging out in Discords all day, what people want by spending a ton of money on these profile pics, is to have a stronger sense of community. Obviously, a lot of people want gains as well, totally. But at its core, the real utility of the profile pic project is to be tribal. And I believe that games like Impostors serve that ultimate use case in a way that others do not, and I'm very excited. I believe that the game style that we've chosen is incredibly strategic. And I hope at this point we've seen, or you all have seen, that the game was built to be fun. The game was built strictly around what's the best version of this? What's the most fun version of this? And the crypto stuff can be plugged in where it makes sense. And that's why we've built this amazing and robust concept for the metaverse economy all around a core gameplay mode that is designed to be modern, to be a breath of fresh air, and to stand out within modern gaming. We've designed the game to pull people into it and to be a leader in that genre. That's the goal, is to serve the gamer the best. And then after you serve the gamer the best, adding NFTs and interesting tokenomics around that experience to power that experience and make it even more rewarding, both, literally and figuratively. That is the sort of entire realization in my mind of what a crypto game should be aspiring to. And unfortunately, we see a lot of people doing one of two things in crypto gaming. You see, okay, well, people say, okay, well, Axie Infinity was so successful, let's create a Axie Infinity. Or they say, well, what's the game with the most incredible possible, far-reaching economics? MMORPG. Let's try to build an MMORPG. And both of those are kind of interesting roads, because Axie very genuinely built its mission out over the course of many years, had this very original play to get the scholarship program up and running, and had a very organic, hard to replicate path. But also, the gameplay itself is not the sticky part of it, it's the economy. And so to me, Axie is a phenomenal proof of concept here, and they have an amazing treasury, a really smart team over there with Jiho. I'm sure they'll have something interesting coming, right? I'm not saying anything negative about Axie, but I also think that their current game doesn't exactly cross into the mainstream the way that crypto gaming and its promise is designed to do. Now, the problem with going at MMORPG is that this game genre is extremely, extremely difficult, not only on the production side, but the winners in that genre have been enshrined and enthroned and not displaced for decades, right? For decades. So that's sort of where the two paths we feel like are both not the path that we wanted to take. We're certainly rooting for everyone, and I want to be very clear. More success from crypto games is good for everyone. If Axie succeeds, that's more blockchain gamers that'll probably try Impostors. If Illuvium succeeds, that's more gamers that will want to download and try Impostors. If we succeed, it's good
Yeah,
for all crypto
Illuvium.
games as well. There is not a zero-sum game here. There is a very much so an abundance mentality that I have towards this industry. So we should all be rooting for everyone. And the only thing that I'm pointing out here is why we made the decisions we made and why I think we've made the right decisions. And yeah, so I hope that explains why we've chosen what might not seem like the game that is the most, you know, like, I guess maybe it doesn't seem so obvious, I guess is the question, why we chose this game. But there has been a serious amount of thought, a serious amount of preparation, and the mentality around why we chose this game. If we had to go back in time, we would do it again, because we absolutely believe that this genre has a huge future, and that it's also one that is ripe for the taking. Whereas others are very are going to be very difficult to sort of decouple gamers from their experiences that they've become accustomed to. Um, so I hope that explains that question, and thanks for it, Puma.
No, for sure, it definitely does. And I think one of the things to add on to this, we saw this week that one of the announcements was announcing FaZe Banks as an advisor, and that was quite an interesting choice and quite shocking for most, I think. Why was he such an important person to get on board, and how do you see his role impacting Impostors with its long-term vision? Because obviously he's got a massive reach.
Yeah, so it's no secret why Among Us blew up. It was streamers, right? It was content creators. The thing about social deduction games is it creates these amazing interpersonal interactions. When we're playing together, we're arguing, we know someone's lying about being the killer. It just creates this fodder, this interpersonal fodder, and that's an amazing sort of canvas for content creators. And so it became easy content for Twitch streamers, for YouTubers, and having these people on board is ultimately critical to our mission. Now, Banks is really unique because not only did he create the absolute biggest brand in online gaming culture in FaZe Clan, which has over 500 million followers and 500 million audience reach across its various creators and their socials. But Banks is someone who I've had the pleasure of talking to now for at least 10 hours, probably closer to 20. And he's incredibly thoughtful and incredibly deeply motivated to help NFTs cross the chasm. And there is few people, if you go back in Banks's history, now I know some people have complained about his behavior in NFTs. And quite frankly, that's not something I'm super familiar with. But the reality is that he's here to advise on mainstream gamer content creators and that crossover. And I can think of almost no one better suited to do this than the mastermind behind FaZe Clan, who created an online gaming esports brand like 10 years before it was cool. I actually don't know the exact year that FaZe Clan was created, but to say that this guy was a visionary is an understatement. He was ahead of the curve on YouTube, ahead of the curve on gaming, and he's ahead of the curve on NFTs. And I think he's almost the perfect person to help bridge the gap, to explain the mission to the most influential content creators in the gaming space and to get them on board. And so that's going to be why FaZe Banks is an advisor here. And I will also say that he is not the only person who has a stake in the project that is of this level of influence within gaming culture. We are blessed and we are excited to have investors in the project that are some of the biggest gaming creators in the world. And what we need to do now is deliver on our promise of creating an innovative social deduction game that accurately and thoughtfully bridges the gap to mainstream gaming. And what we've seen in the response to the footage we've showed, to the ecosystem we've showed, it's so exciting to hear these people at the top of the craft, at the top of gaming culture, tell us that what we're showing them looks fresh. It looks like a breath of fresh air. It looks new. It looks fun. and that they think it'll smash for content creation. And so that's about as good of the feedback as we could get. And again, let's also think what crypto games are good for content creation. That's a really big question to ask. And while social deduction might seem somewhat simple, the reality is it is the perfect canvas for content creation. And that supplying streamers and content creators with their own ability to create their own maps, their own scenarios, their own game modes in the future, that's the chance to have an ecosystem where people don't leave because it doesn't get stale. And they can constantly create that new piece of content with yet another twist to the scenario. So while this is the hook, this social deduction mode, the opportunity for this to be a significant onboarding for gaming culture, it's immense. And we believe that this is the right path. We believe that Banks is going to be an awesome collaborator and helping navigate and appeal to the best content creators in the gaming space. That is without a doubt something that no one can deny what his impact on gaming culture has been. And so the reality is we're blessed and we're very lucky to have him. And he's not just casually interested. I talk with Banks almost every day now for a few weeks, and his passion for this space is overflowing. And so when I heard how authentic he was and how genuinely just passionate he was, it was just humbling to have that connection with someone who is so critical to the mission. And so, his coming on board was one of the most natural synergies. It wasn't like some pitch where I convinced him to come on board. He was gung ho and super super passionate. And so it's phenomenal, right? And the other folks in the space are excited about it too, and they like it. But there's still a little bit, there's a little bit of hesitance from mainstream gamers right now. And that's part of why having people like Banks and some of the other folks we have on board to help topple those dominoes and overcome some of the misunderstandings and the misinformation, and help gamers understand that this is for them. This is the biggest breath of fresh air. This is the biggest gift to the gaming community since maybe ever, but since, I guess I think that there hasn't been necessarily a gift to the gaming community besides great games, on this level, right? Where gamers can now participate in the engine, in the machine that is the game ecosystem. It's a 0 to 1 moment, and it's such a big change that it's misunderstood. And that's why we need people who know this industry and who know the culture. This is a cultural shift. And so I can think of no one better than Banks, and we're super, super excited to have him. He's not the only one of his type that'll be around the project. The interest in what we're doing is just humbling, to say the least.
Yeah, and what you said there is very true with regards to content creation. And that's something that segues into one of the next parts that I think is suitable for here, because in the meta paper that you released this week, there was a section on UGC Sandbox. And I think a lot of people here don't fully understand, or might not understand exactly what UGC Sandbox is and what that means for content creation and people to be able to add on to the game and own a piece of it. Could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so, the ultimate realization, the ultimate goal here is to turn over and to externalize as much of the utility and the control of the experience of the game to the users. The goal is to empower people with something that most people in their lives will never get a chance to do if not for this technology, which is to be a creator, to be a publisher within the world of gaming, to even if that's on a more micro level, whether that means them publishing their own game mode and being able to sell it and monetize it via NFT. Again, this stuff is really still being worked out, some of the actual mechanisms and how they're going to work out. But turning over the keys to creation to the community, the keys to participation in the overall economy is the mission, right? And I believe that is part of the mission, and that is also something that I want to be very clear. People waiting for AAA studios to jump into a Web3, you think they're going to decentralize the whole game ecosystem with a token? You think they're going to give you the chance to sell your own content into the ecosystem? No way. No way. So I think the reality is it's very unlikely that people will end up with the experience and the true decentralization effect that we are hoping to achieve here with waiting for triple A's. Like, and that's why the real the real disruption, the real biggest products, I still believe, has to come from within this industry, has to come from crazy people like myself and my team that just believe we're going to build the best shit in the world. That we just believe we're going to build a better game, and we just put our heads down and we don't allow any setbacks or any difficulties, which I'm sure you guys can imagine. There is an incredible task in shipping a game, and my team has not allowed a single setback, a single difficulty to stop us from getting to this mission, no matter how hard it's been. And so it's going to come from the true believers. It's going to come from within this industry, the people who are the idealists, who believe they can go further together as opposed to going faster alone. And that's what the full promise of this is all about: is creating tools like the UGC Sandbox, the Game Mode Maker, the Map Maker, where players can create their own versions, their own iterations of the game at first, their own iterations of social deduction, eventually other social game modes, and then even setting them with really powerful tools like the Game Mode Maker that will allow them to have completely unique game experiences. And then pushing it further, giving them the ability to monetize those, which is the ultimate closing of that loop. And so that's the mission. That's the goal. It's going to take us a while to obviously close all these loops. And we believe that the first step has to be, we see a lot of people starting with the toolkit, saying, "Oh, we'll build the toolkit," and then everyone else you'll have the toolkit, right? I don't think that's the right way to do it. You need It's so hard to stand out in gaming. You need a hook. And that's what the point of this is we're trying to provide the hook, that the fertilizer here, the foundation, with one amazing experience that people then that can then be added onto, that can then be grown an ecosystem around it. And we think that this is the right mentality, because we saw so many metaverses, we saw so many ecosystems, and they didn't have the hook. They didn't have the reason to come back. They didn't have that stickiness. And if you don't start with the stickiness, hoping that someone else or the community or whatever is going to build the stickiness in your sandbox, that's tricky. That's tricky. And I think most of the time it's a field of dreams fallacy. Because if you can make an amazing game, you're probably not going to build it on someone else's platform, right? But if there's already this amazing game ecosystem, then adding your own creative spin to it becomes quite natural. There's already a hook and the party's already started. Then jumping in and adding on to that with your creativity becomes far more appealing. So we believe that most people, or most game ecosystems or metaverse ecosystems, have started with a bit of a field of dreams, saying if we build it, they will come. And I'm not so sure that's the case. We're starting the other way around. We want to build it first. We want the people to come first, and we want to really prioritize a realistic go-to-market plan with games. And from that, we can create an environment, in theory, where user-generated content becomes highly desirable, and essentially, it really empowers the community to have opportunities they would never otherwise have.
It's a big drawing factor for sure. And one of the things with the content and all of that is everyone has been asking for quite a while, will the Genesis imposters, the aliens, be playable in the game the time beta comes? Or is that something that we're looking at further down the line? Because, of course, one of the big draws is being able to play as your own personal avatar.
Yeah, the push to get the aliens in beta is a lot of what's happening after the mint. And so that's something that's happening, getting the aliens in, focusing on mini games and map items, and really just, le- uh, we've been working with a very small team before we really got closer to the mint, and then as we explained, we expanded our team dramatically to create this AAA character. And so, after we get through this mint, we're going to be dumping every available resource into focusing on the beta. And one of the most important things, obviously, is being able to play with your NFT. That is the realization of this. Why would I, that's why we want people to have that moment so badly. And so we're pushing really hard to get everything, the Genesis Alien in for the closed beta, or at the very, 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 very worst, very shortly after that, like weeks. But I believe that we'll get it in for the closed beta. I'm pretty confident from the estimations I've seen. But that's one of the big tasks, is getting the Alien in, as well as a few little changes to the map, and then we get to iterate together, as we're driving resources into having even higher quality map items and map assets, as we're reskinning the actual mini games to be even more high fidelity, even more immersive, as we're pushing for even more content. What I would like to point out as well is the mini game. The mini games you see are built in a mini game system and a whole sort of subsystem that we've developed. And there are so many mini games that we're going to be adding. And this is another way that we can really keep the experience fresh, is by adding tons of mini games, so that you never really know which kind of a game experience you might stumble into. And you might end up with a mini game that you absolutely love and is really easy for you, or one that's a little harder and makes you sweat more bullets while you're going about your tasks. And so getting the Alien in is extreme high priority for me and the team. And so we're going to push to get it in before you guys ever touch it in closed beta. And that's the goal, just to be very clear. So
Thanks for the clarification. And leading into with the aliens, we saw in the meta paper it mentioned that if your alien is paired with UFOs and pets of their own galaxies, they would enjoy a key stat boosts. When you say key stat boosts, what does that mean? And galaxies, like that's quite a new term for what's explained. Can you elaborate more on that?
yeah, so I want to be very clear that, the gamification and the focus on having meaningful game theory around the entire ecosystem is something that is not just being taken and focused on, inside the core gameplay, but on the whole metaverse economy. This is another really good example. The aliens and their native galaxies, of which there will be 4. There is not going to be any stats that impact the core gameplay. That needs to be pure. The core gameplay of the social deduction mode cannot have pay to win, because if it has pay to win in it, we will alienate the 99% of gamers that can popularize this over every other social deduction game. However, I know my crypto people and I know how much they love a gamified NFT ecosystem. And so when it comes to the metaverse modes, like the UFO racing and the pet battles, that's where there will be stats. That's where there will be, more effective and less effective NFTs. And that's where synergies like native galaxies will actually come into play when it comes to stats. So one galaxy might be have better stamina, while the other galaxy has better agility or better sort of short bursts of speed, better luck. These are things that will happen that will impact the overall effect of UFO races. And UFOs from a certain galaxy may perform better when paired with an alien from the same galaxy. So these are reasons why why no one can necessarily just find one item and sit on it and be the king of UFO Mountain. And the fact that there will be changing conditions, races in different galaxies, means that you might not just be able to buy one UFO and sit on it. There's going to be better scenarios for that UFO and worse scenarios for that UFO, even if it's got high stats. And same with land. And so land, depending on which galaxy it's from and which rarity it is, will produce different materials and different quantities of materials. So different materials might help you have a better wing set, which, by the way, wing sets, thrusters, engines, paint jobs, these things are equipable NFTs on the UFOs. And same with the abilities, shields, auras, and weapons for the pets. And so again, we're creating a very robust ecosystem where no one can just sit on their laurels and buy one thing and say, you know what, I'm the best now. There's no DJ Khaled's here. Everybody is going to have to constantly trade, upgrade, and play the game if they want to succeed. And that opens up the opportunity for people who are highly strategic, for people who are quick at moving and adjusting, to have better outcomes. While it still promotes, people who want to, sink more resources into the better items to get ahead. Um, and really, what these are all doing, these modes are gamified to reward people who take them strategically, but also it creates this sustainability for the the non pay to win, play and earn core gameplay. Because the core gameplay is what's going to be rewarding players with blood, and that blood is the only way to get that blood is to be part of the Genesis season or to play the core gameplay. And that blood is going to be required by all of these other modes that are very, very, very highly gamified. And so the combination there is sort of a harmony between this vision for a free to play, not pay to win, open to all users, very gameplay first experience like Impostors, but also having a rewards mechanism that is that has a reason and a sustainability to it, as created by this robust metaverse economy. So, there's a little handshake emoji between the core gameplay and the metaverse economy. And the synergies between land, aliens, UFOs, and pets are things that will be made much more clear as we're going to release dedicated documents, sections, meta papers for each core gameplay mode. Whether or not core, I want to rephrase. Core gameplay refers to the Unreal Engine modes. The UFO modes and pets modes will be browser based to increase accessibility. And we know that at the very beginning, especially, these will be more bare bones. We just want to get the on chain and the gamification working, and then over time we'll increase the spectator experience and the visual experience. But that's not what we're calling core gameplay. Core gameplay is going to be like when you download it from the Epic Store and you load into the client. You're going to be seeing the social deduction mode, eventually the user generated map maker and the game mode maker. Those are the core gameplay modes. And we want as little barrier to entry to that as possible. We don't want people to have NFTs. We don't want people to have MetaMask. We want, if FaZe Clan members, if they start making videos, we want their viewers to be able to quickly download, hop in, and have a blast as seamlessly as possible. And that's where we actually get to the concept of cosmetics. Now, one of the cool things about cosmetics is we will have cosmetic NFTs, and we are very passionate about having affordable items, $5, $10, $20, $50 items. And the way that we're going to allow for those cheap items, or those mainstream priced items, I guess, as accessible items, how they're going to coexist with some of the more expensive items is that play and earn for blood tokens will only be enabled for a small percentage of those cosmetics. So it'll be a rare trait, the special trait, so that we control the supply of play and earn items within the ecosystem. And so we think of this again as a way to balance the ultimate mission, which is to attract the widest variety, the widest amount of new users to the blockchain, to have a reasonable price point that people can potentially get into this play to earn economy. But really, that price point is for someone who wants to buy cosmetics for a game. We've seen that that is the price point for loot boxes within games. And so we know that if we price them for their inherent value within the game, and then there's a chance that you could get this blood reward on top, then that's a pretty cool way to bring in masses, still control the economy to a large degree. 1 out of every 1,000 items will have a special trait. So it's still if we get millions of items are sold, we'll still only have thousands of those that actually have play and earn enabled. So it's still manageable from an economic design. And this is the way that we can grow the economy sustainably, that we can have a marriage and a synergy between these incredibly valuable, incredibly utility heavy, incredibly powerful Genesis items and the Genesis season items, and the future more achievable, more attainable mainstream items that are priced for mainstream consumption. So there's been a lot of harmony is a word, balance is a word that we talk about a lot, trying to balance this NFT culture and this NFT world with what the eventuality is of a game at scale. And so there's been a lot of design here and a lot of choices made to balance those two things.
Okay, and because you touched on pets and UFOs there, and being equipables and be able to change your NFT according to like wing sets and stuff like that, depending on what galaxy you may be racing on or battling on. Obviously, a huge concern on that is gas and the scalability problem that we face on Ethereum. So, is there anything that you have in mind to combat this going forward? Because assuming that everyone is going to be trading quite often, fees are going to be incurred quite significantly, and some people may be put off by that.
Yeah, so there's without a doubt, a low gas environment is something that will have to be the home of this game ecosystem in the future. We have a pretty cute and innovative way that we're setting up, dealing with um, connecting the game ecosystem to people's blockchain wallets in the beginning that won't require any gas expenditure. It's a really cool system where we have like a middleware site that connects between the wallets and the accounts, the on-chain accounts, and the in-game accounts. And so there's no need to go in and connect your wallet when you come into the game. You just log into your account, and it'll already, the game client will already be made aware of what you're holding on chain. And so that's a cool system. But when it comes to all these sub-equipable NFTs and game modes and all these amazing interactions that are going to be happening through pets and UFOs and land, we are very aware and we are actively looking at different homes for the ultimate ecosystem. And we're considering a wide variety of them, whether that means an L2 like Immutable X or Polygon, whether that means an L3 on top of Starkware, an AVAX subnet, an IBC Cosmos chain. The possibilities are endless. And I want to be very clear that we haven't even had time to really decide or make any kind of meaningful decisions or have meaningful conversations around those. But these are all things that we're talking about, and eventually, it's very clear that a low fee environment where the project can control the fee structures predictably, and people can have the proverbial $1, $2 item without gas costing more than that, or one or $2 interaction. That's something that we're pursuing for the future, 100%. So we know that Ethereum is the best place to launch an NFT collection without a doubt, and we also know that it's probably not going to be our permanent home for the entire ecosystem.
Perfect. And one of the biggest questions that comes along with this question is, are people able to store multiple NFTs in their wallet? And when they go to do a battle or a race, will they be able to select the NFT that they use? And how will that system work if that is possible?
Yes. So the I just want to be very clear that like all of the information around UFOs and pets and those game modes and those economies will be given an incredible amount of depth as we come close to those being released. At this point, we don't have a date of release on those; they're still being researched, and the full gamification layers and all of the game design decisions are going to be released in a dedicated meta paper. So I just want to say like the minutia of how it works, we want to kick those questions down the road a little bit because a lot of those decisions are still being made with some of the most brilliant folks in the industry. And we've had the benefit of seeing just an incredible warm welcome from some of the biggest brains in the industry on seeing our mission, seeing the amount of development we've been able to achieve, and wanting to help out now. So, from this moment on, the amount of people helping and working on the project is dramatically increasing, dramatically. So it's very exciting. But I want to be very clear. Yes, you will be able to pick the UFOs and pets that you race with and that you battle with. You will have a lot of element of choice and strategy, and the goal is to, of course, reward the most strategic and smartest. And that's part of the purpose of those modes. But I don't want to get too carried away making sort of like very specific granular statements about pets and UFOs, except for the fact that the Genesis season includes a Genesis pet and a Genesis UFO. And those will not be generative. Those will be from one of the four galaxies, and they will be at one of four rarities. And so you will have you will have your seed there, which will then become, once we announce and are rolling out those game modes, that's when you will be able to discover a lot more about your pet and your UFO, as well as they will be required to hold if you want to bundle your items for land. I don't know if that's a nice segue into the land part of
It
things,
is.
Puma. Okay, great. So I know people are probably wondering, and I'm very excited to explain. Um, the reality is that land. We've thought a lot about this Genesis season, how we can make sure that it doesn't just become another sort of claim and dump fest where people get a new item and then just look to sell it. We wanted to make sure that there's so much utility that comes from land, and that if anyone wants land, that they need to hold and stay committed to the Genesis season. So land is not a new NFT, but rather a bundle or a wrapped NFT that contains your Genesis alien, your UFO, your pet, and your closed beta access pass. And the determination as to what your land has within it. And there's also going to be more information released on this, but effectively you'll need all your items from your Genesis season. Not all of them will get bundled into your land, but you'll need them. And again, we have some really big brains working on the smart contract side that are coming up with all kinds of fun ways to do this. And the land itself, if you have a different pet or a different UFO or a different alien, the land will be different. And the type of land that it creates when bundled will be different. However, if you bundle and then rebundle your land, you don't get a different piece of land. It's determined by the ingredients that are your NFTs within the bundle. So you need a complete set. You cannot sell any of those items or you forfeit your land. So if you want a piece of land and you believe in that utility that's coming from land, then you cannot just claim your land and sell these other things. So it creates a permanent utility for each part of the Genesis season. And we think that's pretty cool. And we think it's this level of sort of thought for the gamification that really takes care of the community that comes in and participates.
So on that aspect as well, so essentially, does that mean that the rarity and efficiency of the land is determined by the three assets? So, i.e., if I've got three from the same galaxy and I lock them up, is that the best optimization that I can have? And is that what everyone should be trying to achieve?
So the short answer to that is that it's not going to be that simple, and that we will provide more information over the coming months. There's still a few months between now and the land bundle, and so, but there will be different pieces of land produced by different combinations. We'll say that. So obviously, higher rarities with more synergy will produce more dramatic results. However, maybe it's not guaranteed that just because they're from the same galaxy, it will have the best result. But if you have multiple items from the same galaxy, and that galaxy has the highest likelihood of having one of the best materials to produce, then you're increasing. That's the good way to go about it. But remember, this will be deterministic, right? So the Genesis alien will be probabilistic. You will have probabilities of getting this galaxy, of getting this, this type of ears, this type of bodysuit, this type of pattern, this type of eyes. That's all based on probabilities. You will have a probabilistic outcome on pets. You'll have a probability of this galaxy, of this rarity. Same with UFOs. But once combined, that recipe of a rare UFO from Galaxy 1, a common pet from Galaxy 2, a certain Genesis alien from Galaxy 3, that combination will always produce the same land. So that's what we mean by deterministic. So the combination of those items will be deterministic, whereas the actual outcome of each component will be probabilistic. But once they're rolled, they will become deterministic when combined, so that people know, hey, look, I really need to get this thing. If I get this pet, that'll make it so that I can get this type of land, and I really want this resource. That's when the games will begin of people trying to get the type of land that they want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's very clear on my side. And with that being the case, and we're talking about materials produced by land as well, and I know that you can't specify too much about this, but how is land, is it meant to be the grand focus of the whole entire like ecosystem? Because it is the big daddy the way that I view it, because materials are going to be one of the key aspects for upgrades and for the usability for players. So is there any thought on on the material side of combinations that are going to have to be used? And will it be so from Galaxy 1, they'll produce something different and it has to be used in order to upgrade a certain pet at a certain level?
Yeah, most certainly, Puma. The type of the type of land and owning land is designed, and the goal of the game design and the economic design is to make land one of the most powerful things, the most powerful thing to hold in the ecosystem. And that's created by the utility of the materials in the other game modes. So absolutely, that is one of the most important things. Obviously, the Genesis Alien, um, because of its utility in getting you land, as well as its ability to earn blood earliest before any other items can earn blood, as well as its, the reality is that this is a collectible, right? It's designed to be an amazing collectible. We hope you agree. It's why we put so much creative energy and thought, and quite frankly, an insane amount of funding into making this alien just this landmark piece of art. Because it's not only meant to signal uh, this group of people who are foundational to the entire metaverse economy, but it's also a utility in getting land required to get that Genesis land. So the Genesis land is designed to be like the daddy asset here, the sort of source of the materials that run the entire metaverse. And certain lands will need materials from other lands as well to upgrade their land and to improve their land. So there's also a land internal economy between plots of land. So the answer is yes, land is designed to be the most important thing. But also, I would argue that for a lot of people, the Genesis alien will be extremely, extremely important because its utility in getting Genesis land, as well as it is that incredibly sought after collectible that really shows, hey, look, I'm an OG here, or I hold a serious pillar of this entire game ecosystem.
No doubt. And with you touching on the fact that it's the Impostors alien is going to be the first to earn blood, there's been a lot of questions around the staking mechanism. And essentially, on the meta paper, where it says that there's going to be different pools and durations for people to stake, how will that affect people's choices and the minting aspect after that? Because there's still UFOs and pets, all mintable by being able to stake and earn blood. But those pools, are they going to be separate? So if I chose a different pool to someone else, do I have to wait longer in order to mint one of the UFOs or pets?
Yeah, so there's actually a really cool staking mechanism with a time lock design that my team has created to essentially reward people who lock their Genesis aliens for longer. That will become very clear and evident. And the people who lock for longer will receive a higher yield on their for staking, and they will actually be able to claim items earlier. However, if you have the item and you stake, you will still eventually be able to claim your items, just potentially significantly later than others. So there's quite a bit of gamification here as well. But of course, we want to reward people who have a deeper connection and a deeper commitment to the ecosystem. Why wouldn't we? So that's what we're going to do, and we think you'll think it's very, very smart, the design, and that it promotes the right type of behaviors. Everything that happens after mint is designed to reward people who want to stick around. That's the goal. Obviously, we're not going to tell anyone. We can't predict, and we won't predict actual values on the market. However, the goal is to save significant utilities for those who hold, who stake, and who don't sell. And so that's the goal: is to reward the people who want to stick around and contribute.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that as well, because a lot of people in the community have been discussing what the purposes of blood. Like some people think that it's made to be able to feed a family of 20. But can you elaborate on blood's actual intended use case, and the fact that it's more for the in-game ecosystem? or is it meant to be able to feed 20 people?
I would not feed my kids blood. No, I'm just kidding. The reality is that blood is meant to be earned and consumed at a sort of harmonious rate between the larger metaverse economy and the play and earners, the earners. The supply of blood is meant to be infinite and uncapped. It will, in theory, expand at roughly the same rate as the player base, the play and earn player base, and it will, in theory, be consumed at a roughly similar rate that it expands. So it remains sort of in harmony. The goal is to actually see blood remain as stable as possible, though it's very hard in early stages for things to remain stable. The reality is it's not meant to be volatile. It's meant to just be an ongoing source of incentive and reward for coming in and playing. It's very much so the wrapper around the ecosystem that is not hard capped, or that is not infinite in supply, that is hard capped, um, is the super token. This is a super farm ecosystem project, right? So the token that is going to govern over the economy is the super farm DAO, and so that is where that is, blood token is meant to be a consistent reward for in-game activities, and super token is meant to be the governance layer, of which there's a limited amount of seats in that governance layer. There's a hard cap supply, and there's a limited number of super. Blood is there; it is uncapped, and it will expand in supply as the player base expands. Um, that is to remain a viable incentive mechanism for players at scale, as well as in the early days. But no, we're not trying to design blood as some kind of uh, substitute to your Wall Street job.
Yeah, understood. Happy to get clarification on that because a lot of people were banking on that. But yeah, perfect. And with that, you're talking about Superfarm DAO and how it sort of wraps the whole economy. And there's mention in the meta paper of 5% of the secondary sales would be put into the DAO. And a lot of people still seem to be confused of the power of the DAO and the choices that can be made from it. Can you just point out again what the use case is there and how much capability they have of influencing things and making choices on their
Yeah,
own?
I want to be really, really clear here. And there's definitely a limit to some of the things I can and can't say about what will happen because they need to be voted on chain to really be a decentralized ecosystem. But the goal of this has always been to decentralize the mechanism, the engine, and the economy that is a video game. And this is where the super token is that mechanism of decentralization, where the super token gets to govern over this powerful engine that is the game. So if you guys are following the Axie Infinity project, which I'm sure a lot of people very well might be, um, the token that super is corollary to, the token that super is corollary to is the AXS token within Axie Infinity. So as the metaverse economy expands, it will create an expansion in theory of the DAO treasury, which the super token holders get to decide what happens with that. And that's the governance layer that creates decentralization. So the expansion of the game economy, the metaverse economy, means that the utility of super token should be expansive with that.
Thanks for the clarification on that one. And just a quick little break. There is a giveaway for the AMA attendees. You guys can see just above emergency meeting. It's got giveaways. Please go and enter there. There's 10 whitelist spots up for grabs. It'll end in 2 hours time. So if you just go and hit the button for enter, you'll get the result in 2 hours time, and then we'll direct you to inbox Asian Citizen, Lunar Steps, Lulu Lights, or GD. So if you guys want to get onto that.
Gonna hydrate here for the second half.
Perfect. We only have a few more questions on the actual things that community submitted. Then we'll open up the floor to take open floor questions, because I know that's the part that you're probably most fond of.
I love hearing directly from the community. I love when I even love it when people have like negative things to say because I usually like to be confronted. The people who are on the team, the people around me, know that I actually really enjoy being confronted with negative feedback and potential issues because it helps the project evolve and for the most part we've thought through a lot of these. So most of the times people have negative things to say because they don't know really the answer or they haven't had a chance to ask the question. So a lot of times we're excited because we have the answer and we've thought through these things. It's been a long time we've been thinking about this. So I look forward to that. Some of the negativity that we saw in the early stage of the project was mostly due to lack of information. And the more information we put out, it's so exciting to see the community and the reception. I mean, it's really humbling. So
The
we've worked,
turnaround.
yeah, we've worked a lot. We've worked really hard on this for many years, and yeah, so it's nice to see that work getting acknowledged, and it's just the beginning. But what we've prepared for this community, we think of it as in so many ways a first of its kind, and this community deserves the community deserves good stuff. The community has been through a lot. Everyone's been through ups and downs, and crypto as a whole deserves good shit, right? And that's what we want to put out. So we've thought through how to make stuff good, and we want to show we're proud of it. And so I'm excited to hear from the community, to hear some of the questions. Again, some of the stuff about super token, I want to be very clear. A lot of this stuff has to happen on chain through decentralized voting, which will happen on snapshot.org. You'll be seeing some proposals go live in the next few days. We encourage you to vote on them if you're a super token holder. And this is really fulfilling some of the original ambitions of the project, which is the goal of Super Farm was to connect mainstream audiences to NFTs through creative DeFi mechanisms like Super Farm, farming gems, as we've had awesome projects in the farms. Also through mainstream video games. This is a huge, huge piece of the puzzle. And we also have noticed along the way that the world is in desperate need of a great marketplace. And so those are the things that Super Farm DAO stands for. And it's really about being a base layer of the metaverse. And gaming is required to expand the metaverse. An amazing marketplace is required to expand the metaverse. Um, and some of the stuff that you'll see, we encourage you to participate in the Super Farm decentralized governance because this is very, very important. And I think people don't understand at all the role of Super Farm in this ecosystem. And that's okay if they don't now, but hopefully they will soon. So I encourage you all to dig in and to learn about the concepts we're putting out there. Because people seem to view Impostors as a separate project from Super Farm ecosystem, but it is built on top of the Super Farm ecosystem with the Super Token as its foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that someone asked earlier, I'm sure you saw it, was will there be gems? Will gems be usable in the game? That's quite a lot of super people have been asking as well.
There's no plan for gems to be usable in the game, but there is a plan for items within the game to be farmable with gems. So that's a huge ambition, and that is going to happen. It's just not going to happen immediately. We need to get a little further down the road, and then items from within imposters will be able to be minted with gems in the future. And so that's a huge utility for gems, where you can stake super and effectively get rewarded with items within imposters. Obviously, not these core pillar items like the Genesis season. We've spent a lot of time really focusing on making this an incredibly special and unique experience, such that the minters of the Genesis season have something that can't be repeated. But cosmetics boxes and chests loot boxes and stuff like that down the line, we want those to be in the gem store for sure.
Great news for everyone who's staking, and continuous use case for gems, as you've always stated. And on the subject of cosmetic chests, I know we've touched on that previously, and one of the clarifications a lot of people have been asking is on the meta paper, it states cosmetic NFTs will each have a 0.1 chance to roll a special trait and adds a unique visual effect to the item, and also enables the player to earn blood rewards while equipped. Does that mean that if I've got an Impostors NFT, that's like a multiplier, or is that intending to be something else now?
It exists aside from the Imposters Genesis NFT. This is meant to be a way that we can have cheap items that can still enable play to earn, but are not guaranteed to enable play to earn, such that we don't have a massive oversaturation of blood. So this is really the a balancing part of the harmony between having the proverbial $10 item that is an NFT that can participate in some of the metaverse economy, but doesn't oversaturate or diminish the value or the utility of the Genesis items in the Genesis season, or the sort of generative characters that are the sort of the potentially more high ticket items that very well, if if the current NFT climate is any indication, will very well be likely trading much higher than $5. Though I want to be very
Yeah.
clear, we don't want to make that sound like a price prediction. My lawyers are screaming at me in the background, so I just want to make sure I cannot speak on price of value of any items or what the market might value them at. But I will say that most likely your average gamer isn't going to want to spend $10,000 on an item if it is valued at $10,000. So we need a way for average users to have some kind of onboarding into Play and Earn that doesn't diminish uh, things like Genesis Aliens or oversaturate the market. And so that's why having the special trait, one, this has been popularized by other mainstream gaming titles with this special sort of particle effect that makes the item more valuable to as a cosmetic because it has a unique visual effect. But then on top of that, we add the NFT play and earn side, which is making it have utility in the metaverse. That we will, just to be very clear, we will have some Web 2 cosmetics. If FaZe Clan fans want to come in and play with just their mommy and daddy's credit card, they just want to play a social deduction. They don't want to sign up for MetaMask. They don't want to deal with all this stuff. We're not going to make them, and we're going to have cheap items that they can put on their free characters. Froggy, who you saw in the teaser,
Gameplay.
the gameplay teaser, that'll be a free character, for example, and there will be cosmetics for that character, but they won't be NFTs. And so there will be both a Web 2 on ramp to the game that doesn't force anyone to have any headaches or delve into the depths of blockchain, and it allows for the player base to expand. And we know that what's going to happen is users are eventually going to say, "Well, that's a cool character. How'd you get that?" And they're going to learn from other players about the magic of NFTs and blockchain, and we can have a sort of seamless harmony between the Web 2 on ramp and the Web 3 industry. And that's what this game is, that's part of the mission. So there will be cheap, even free items. There will be very scarce, potentially very expensive items. There will be everything sort of in between as well. And the cosmetic special trait is meant to have the opportunity to go from a very free or an almost like a very cheap item, and have something that could end up being very scarce and very cool. But if I have a bunch of $5 items, and all of them are giving me, potentially something very scarce and cool, then we potentially risk oversaturation, and it potentially takes away from what we know will be very scarce and high utility. So these are the game design decisions that we've been making to really marry the mission, which is to onboard new users, with the culture of NFTs right now. And I believe that a successful project has to do both. So we're really excited about it. The reason why it has to do both is because if you're starting from a mainstream gaming focus and you're not focused on empowering the economy with full decentralization, then chances are you're not really going to succeed in the crypto and NFT side of things. And if you're focused only on the crypto and NFT side of things, chances are you're not well suited for the mainstream. So you need to have sort of bridges here.
Yeah, makes perfect sense and very correct. Like most of the guys that I know who do just gaming, normally nothing about NFTs. They just used to paying via credit card, and this way is the onboarding way to get them to become crypto native. So that sounds really good. And one of the questions we had a little bit earlier as well was, will any of the ecosystem tax, i.e. the secondary sales revenue, go towards content done in the UGC of Sandbox to try and give incentives there? Or what was some of the things that you've got in your mind to get people incentivized to make in their game, seeing that it's going to have to attract those sort of people in the beginning as well?
Yeah, like first of all, everything that happens with the DAO will be up to be voted on by the DAO, and it's really important that this process be procedural, that it be voted on, that people, all different community members, have the ability to offer different ways to improve and iterate on the DAO functionality. And if the DAO says, "Hey, look, you know, we want to vote to collectively in a decentralized on-chain way, we want to vote to say, hey, some of this DAO treasury should be dedicated to the sandbox mode to incentivize game designers," then that's something that can be passed on chain. But it's not up to me to decide all these things. It very well might be the team offering proposals that are well thought out, because we're probably spending more time thinking about this than most people. But these are things that will be up to the DAO, right? Um, the DAO could say, "Hey, we want to buy a unicorn, and fly it to Mars," right? It's if that's what you think's best for the game, then let's do it, right? Let's buy the
100%.
let's buy the Constitution. Like it's just really about understanding that the power of the decentralized governance of the DAO is something that allows this to become decentralized, that allows this to become a power to the edges opportunity for the masses. And it's not up to me to decide everything, right?
No, for sure. Just going back to reiterate how important the DAO actually is here. I see quite a lot of people here asking questions in the AMA question side. So I think now is a good time to segue into opening the floor to anyone that wants to speak. If you
Yeah,
guys can raise
sounds
your
great.
hand.
Hi, how's it going? Just wondering if we could just find out about the price, whitelist price and regular price.
It's a great question, and we are not revealing it right now, not yet.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I will say, though, that it is significantly less than what the community has asked for.
God bless you, kind sir. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me here. First of all, before asking my question, I just wanted to take something out of my chest and thank you, Elliot, for everything you do for the community. I'm a filmmaker and I'm gonna be doing my first NFT one-of-one drop next Tuesday, and that's all thanks to you. I have changed literally my life, and I'm planning on dedicating to this for the rest of my life. So thank you for that. And the question was, I saw the trailer, by the way, today, the teaser. It's amazing, the gameplay. And just wanted to ask if will we get to see? I understand that you guys made some upgrades with the art and the new team. Will we get to see some of these before the mint day?
We will be working on revealing those for a closed beta. We're not going to be. We're kind of mid haircut right now with the new art getting into the game. You know, the game that you saw, the gameplay teaser you saw, has been how the game has sort of looked and felt throughout the most of 2021, and through those mini game systems and the gameplay experience. And in Q4, we brought on the new studio to really give us a proper Genesis character that we felt was up to the standards of, you know, pushing the art quality that we need for you know, this brand. And so the first task was to create the best Genesis character and mint, and there is an incredible amount of technology going on, and technical art funnel happening to create the Genesis Mint, to have all of these HD emote videos, 360 videos, high definition images, to have a media package that is unlike any other for our Genesis Mint. And then, you know, a lot of the resources are going to focus on getting the which they've already started, but there's a big resource drain that's happened getting the mint characters in. But now they're focusing on getting that main character in. We're not going to have it before mint. However, we will, or else I would have showed it. But we will show, you know, we will show it as soon as. Sorry, it will be there for closed beta. Sorry, so the closed beta will be when you'll start to see all of that come together. And right now, what you see is we know what this high quality of art looks and feels like. You can see that from our Genesis character. There's some amazing art in the industry, but I think we really pushed to have the best art in the industry. And you've also seen that, you know, this game is, the whole game loop is super fun. There's a ton of content. It's extremely exciting. It's a completely reimagined version of social deduction. And obviously we want to make sure that things are really right for the closed beta. So you won't see the Genesis alien in the game before mint, but you will. The goal is to get the Genesis alien in there for you guys for closed beta.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So basically, we'll get the gameplay that you showed today combined with the art of the aliens, right?
Yes, and we're, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that we're going to be pouring resources into, not just the alien going in, but there's also stuff, you know, we want to have visual upgrades around the entire game ecosystem, the map, the mini games, the kill animations, everything. We want to keep bringing, you know. We're a little bit of perfectionists. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you know, everything we do, we try to overdo, and we just love this. So you know, a big shout out to this team. There are some team members out there in the audience. Literally. So, you know, when, you know, we will have a lot to show, gap between where it's at and closed beta. That's why we wanted to be clear. This is the way the game has been looking before we brought on really about 4x the resources. And when it comes to sort of aesthetics in games, you know, I've done a lot of this art. You know, if you want expensive art, you get expensive artists, and they produce amazing expensive art. And so, you know, what that doesn't solve for is the fun factor. So starting with the fun factor, which is a lot of games, they get all the way to the end and they realize they're just not that fun. And so, you know, we were very confident that we could build a social deduction that was fun. And we wanted to start by building a social deduction that was fun. And, you know, there's a lot of time that can pass. And so by spending a ton of money on art, we think we think, quite frankly, it's solving the wrong problem first. And so we wanted to solve the fun factor first. And now that we're very excited by the fun factor, we believe that it's the right time to start, you know, dumping money into the art. And that's what we started doing sort of the end of the year in Q4 there. And it's a pretty sizable team that we brought on here with just for the art and the visuals. So that team getting all ramped up, getting the Genesis character, which you guys haven't even seen so much of this Genesis character art. There is an F ton of art that you haven't seen yet, just for these initial characters. And then of course we're going to take that same aggressive path of pushing for quality in every asset across the map, every asset across the mini games, and really giving that feel that you see in the Genesis characters across the game experience that we already know is fun. So that's the process. That's the timeline. Thank you for your question, Frico, and again, your kind words mean the world to me. Hearing that people have sort of dedicated themselves to Web3 or had success in Web3 because of the content, because of the stuff that I've done is beyond amazing. And so I thank you for sharing your story.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Just want to start off saying thank you for having me. And quick question about your website here. I see your mint is in 2 days, 20 hours, 32 minutes, and about 10 seconds now. Is that open to the public? Is that going to be a whitelist? If so, is there any available way to get on these whitelists, or how do we get on these whitelists? I do see there's multiple ways from your Twitter feeds. Let's start off with the first question, I guess, as far as is it open to the public?
So the countdown you see there is to whitelist mint,
Correct.
and that'll go for
Whitelist,
24.
okay.
That'll go for 24 hours, and then whatever's left. We wanted to make sure that everyone who's held community-based assets in EllioTrades, Superfarm Genesis, as well as Neo Tokyo. These are communities that I'm super passionate about, that are my communities, sort of my home-based communities. And this is intended as a benefit for them for the incredible support over the years. And just, the people who have been in my communities know I'm extremely, extremely loyal to my holders and my supporters. Just like this game is meant to be the evolution of Superfarm, and the NFTs are being, whitelisted for the holders in my core communities. Now, we did have a couple whitelist giveaways to generate more attention for the project. And as you can see, they were pretty sparse, 5 here, 5 there. And those are just meant to be more like awesome giveaways. But right now, it's pretty late in the game. The snapshot, unfortunately, was already taken yesterday. So holding EllioTrades, Superfarm, and Neo Tokyo S1 citizens is no longer a way to get whitelist access. However, you must still hold it through the Genesis Mint, or else you risk losing your whitelist access if you bought for those purposes. So unfortunately, the whitelist period is no longer active. I apologize to bring you bad news, but the reality is that we believe that public mint will still be a very awesome opportunity for folks. Although it might be competitive, we encourage you to try to hop in for the public.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. I was curious just because I'm basically open and being part of the public coming in late into this project. So I was wondering how we can go about maybe even involving ourselves or getting into these type of projects, because I'm very curious about this imposter. And I believe it's going to be a long run shot, a long term, let's say. But again, I just want to say thank you guys for having me, and appreciate that for the public.
Yeah, cheers, Big B, and I appreciate you coming up and sharing. I wish I had a better piece of news. We are going to be doing, I think, Puma, if you're around, I know you popped out of here for a second, but we are giving away a couple of whitelist spots to the people in this chat right now. But there's no
Yes, sir.
There's no for sure way to get a whitelist spot right
Awesome.
now.
No, that's part of the game. That's part of the game.
Yeah, I apologize, and yeah, again, we don't want to cheapen the the commitment that has been shown by our holders and sort of just give them out too easily, right? The whitelist
100%.
spots.
Yeah.
So we always try to be extremely deferential to the people in these communities, because in the end, what we've seen with Bored Apes and the NFT movement in general is that a few thousand people can really change the world, and I believe that by cultivating the flame here in this community, and by being by showing that time after time, every occasion possible, the goal is to reward folks who stick around. That we can have an amazing impact on the world. So that's my goal. I appreciate you coming up here, Big B, and I hope you win.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy
Thanks.
your day. Take it easy.
Same to you, man.
Later, brother.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks so much for bringing me up here, and Ellio, for the project. I'm super pumped. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about the DAO aspect of it. I actually have built a few DAOs for NFT communities, and one of the biggest issues that I've had is between the development team and the community. There's sometimes just a breakdown in communication, or a flow of communication. One of the things that I've tried to do is kind of create more of a council that's from the community that has a little bit more direct access to the development team, so that they can bubble up some of the issues maybe that are affecting the community a little bit easier. Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, decentralized governance is very much so uh, in its early stages, right?
Absolutely.
It's a super nascent space. However, there's a sort of, I guess, poetic synergy here between what a game should be and do, and what a DAO should be and do in very similar ways. A game is best served by listening to its community and responding to feedback, and implementing the game experience in a way that the community wants. And a DAO, in theory, is a mechanism to have a community run organization, a decentralized organization. And so there's very similar, there are different sides of a similar coin, which is, how do you take opinions from a wide array of people and implement them into a larger organization, product, or mechanism. And I'm not going to say that we have a perfect answer, but we're going to work hard to listen to the community on everything from how the game works, what parts of the game are really exciting, what parts of the game need improvement, what parts of the game are the most special things that should be leaned into, new experimental stuff. It's really important to work with the community on that if we want to achieve our goal of being a mainstream gaming hit. And that goes beyond just this NFT community. That goes to when we have, hopefully millions of players, and listening to them and what they have to say about the game. Really, really important. Same with the DAO, right? Except, with the DAO, there is definitely some, once sort of value is involved, it's important that the DAO functions in a way that is equitable, that is fairer, but also in a way that isn't overreactive to emotions, that is stoic in a way. And so, we've put up a super farm governance guidelines a few weeks ago, and there is a path to proposals, decentralizations, and everything outlined there. We encourage you to check it out. And the goal is to continually, some of the folks that I actually have the luxury of interacting with, being an influencer or whatever you consider me in the space. I have access to a lot of really smart folks, and a lot of those folks have amazing input on governance processes, on how a DAO should be run. We're very close with the folks who helped create the ApeCoin DAO. We're very close with the folks who have been working on the front lines of decentralization and governance. And so while it's an ugly baby, it's still a baby, and it's going to grow. And the topic of DAO governance is one that we hope to evolve with. However, beyond proposals, voting, iterations, improvement proposals, and having, the idea of a committee is really nice. Having committee members and committee leads is really nice. You do risk that people can bottleneck processes as well. So, the idea of representative democracy in DAOs is interesting. It's all quite interesting, and I don't have a final answer for you except to say that our mission is as a game is served by listening to the community, and our mission as a DAO is served by having great governance.
Absolutely, and it sounds like you're listening to the community and listening to the people, and that's all we can do right now, right? Evolve in the space, like you said. So thank you very much. That's the only question I had. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this AMA.
Thanks for coming up. I'm not sure if you can hear me there. I think you can. Tim Crypto, what's up, man?
I just want to first thank Ellio for everything. He's been awesome for many years now. And my first question is in the game, are we going to have invites to send to other people? Because that's how this game is going to spread rapidly. Like we got to play and then invite others in. And I'm hoping that's there. And then on the Neo Tokyo, he said Citizens 1. I'm hoping that Citizen 2 also are included on the whitelist. And then number 3, is there a way if we do have EllioTrades, NFTs, Superfarm NFTs, Neo Tokyo, can we verify that we're on the whitelist with those?
So first question about I think you described a referral system, and a referral system is great, and we're certainly happy to it's one of the growth mechanisms that will be in any good game, and we're certainly happy to put it in ours. It won't be there for closed beta because we want the closed beta community to be restricted to our holders. However, when we look at open beta and worldwide launch, those are times where we'll be looking to market in every which way that we think is beneficial and we think is value add. And so the answer is absolutely with a referral system, and it's very well established referral systems and sort of peer-to-peer growth mechanisms like that. So we'll definitely be looking to put those in. As far as what you said about the whitelist, S2 for Neo Tokyo isn't included because effectively that would mean that the whitelist would be potentially bigger than the actual total amount of items. And so S2 is not currently included, unfortunately. As far as EllioTrades and Superfarm, the snapshot was already taken. Puma, maybe you could speak a little more on that as Puma's been running a lot of the whitelist stuff.
Yeah, sure. So yes, the snapshots have been taken. What specifically were you trying to ask on that? I think I got a little bit lost towards the end there.
I'm wondering if I have an EllioTrade.
So I think you cut out there. If I can remember correctly, because I can't hear you currently, but I can hear you now.
Oh, did you not hear I was saying I just wanted to make sure that I have the NFT, the EllioTrades NFT. I've had it for a long time. I just want to be able to verify that I'm on the whitelist before it actually gets released, instead of finding out there's a problem the day of.
Yes, you will be able to. So the final whitelist will be put out within the next 24 hours. There's still a few things being done. As you can see, we're running a giveaway currently right now, just above the AMA section. And once the final giveaways are done, we'll be publishing the final whitelist. So it will be out within the next 24 hours or so.
Awesome. Love you, Ellio. Thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for the love, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming up, man. Cheers. Shock Doc ETH, welcome.
Hey, thanks for inviting me up. Really awesome to hear you talk about the project and the excitement that there's been so far. Really excited for the mint, Ellio. Thanks for that and putting all this hard work into this. I did have a question about for some of us we dabble in trading NFTs, so some of us might have limited liquidity available. Like, when would we know what the mint price would be, just so we can make sure we set that aside?
Are you talking about whitelist mints?
Yeah, correct.
So the community, after we explained the project to the community said, we think the project, we asked, tons of people. We did hold AMAs and town halls. Community said, well, we think based on everything that the whitelist mint should be 1 ETH. And so we could say that it is less than that by a significant chunk. So that's what we want to say. Quite frankly, uh, quite frankly, prices have led to a lot of negativity, and so we think people will be really happy, and that's the way we structured it. And I know that liquidity is an issue, but yeah, we're doing what we think is best for the rollout of the project right now.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. Like, even 1 ETH is completely fine, I think. I was just more curious on when we would find out the pricing. Like, are we talking like the day of, or we're gonna get to know 24 hours before mint?
TBD right now. Right now, I am still, the market's feeling good right now. Everyone seems to be in a good mood right now. So we're sort of actively monitoring it. But what I can say is that based on what the community was prepared for in the 1 ETH mint that we had been circulating, everyone should be more than prepared for what the actual whitelist mint is. And it might be that we reveal it as mint goes live.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks, man. Superfarm 777.
Hey Puma,
What's up, man?
how you going? Long time, Puma.
Sick,
Long time, mate. How you doing?
Sick
Yeah.
username, bro.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I love the username.
I was Superfarm Diamond Hands. I'm the guy from the trading chat, but I unfortunately had to pay for hand at some point there, so I had to take that out of the name.
Legend.
Cool. So, yeah, basically, so what you just said with the mint price being announced, like some people have to get the funds like sort of ready, like, so it's how long will you have after you announce the mint price? Like, how long will we have to mint to get those funds organized if it's going to be so late?
The whitelist mint price, the whitelist mint period will be 24 hours.
24 hours, okay.
So everyone on the whitelist will have 24 hours to mint, at which time during that period, so the very minimum you'll have is 24 hours.
Yeah, that's all
and
good.
we'll discuss internally. Again, I normally don't have a problem talking about prices, but it seemed to be a little bit of a seemed to be a little bit less positive in the community since the Pixelmon era has begun. And so we just want to make sure that we are having people focus on the value prop of the project and everything we've built, the gamification, the white paper. And so we thought that withholding pricing, withholding pricing would be the best.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess that came down to, like you said, it was pretty bad timing with all the Pixelmon stuff. But just not enough information that was being given. And then all of a sudden it was a 2 ETH price, I think, originally, and people were freaking out thinking, well, just for a short trailer, it just seemed, oh my God.
Yeah, in our defense, the trailer was meant to be the first, and we were going to post new information daily leading up to the mint, including meta paper, gameplay teaser, economics, AMAs. we didn't really get that opportunity. So we became sort of, I guess the assumption was that that was all of the materials. Me knowing social media and knowing how social media works, I know that 2 announcements is better than 1 announcement. So if you're going to put everything out in one go, then you lose the momentum. And so the purpose of the rollout was to be very eventful, literally eventful, as the Genesis season would suggest, with many events, as well as eventful in the way we rolled out information. What we heard was people didn't want that, and especially after Pixelmon, there was no sort of creative freedom here. People wanted to know everything all up front right now. We get it. So we changed our strategy, and we allowed for a little more air in the room for people to get familiar with our project, become educated about our project. And we feel like we've answered the call. We understand people's as well. We understand the community as well. And so, I'm always about learning and iterating and growing. I never will try to say I'm perfect or that I did everything right. What I do know is that everything that the community asked for, we have in spades. And so it's a cozy position to be in. I understand the emotional reaction. And, from our side, the trailer was not the end of the materials. We had every day had plans. But after that reaction to the trailer, clearly we needed to pivot a lot of things and sort of address the elephants in the room. We couldn't just start rolling out marketing.
Yeah.
And so
I was actually happy with it. I knew the prize was going to be around there. I was honestly shocked once I went into the Discord, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
yeah, it was.
There was pitchforks and all sorts.
Oh yeah.
I'm good.
It
I'm
was
good
crazy.
here. I'll just
Quite
have
an
a quick reading. I'll
experience.
leave that.
It makes for a good story, right?
Well, I will tell you, because I have been around from day dot, and like I said, I at one point there I was fully invested in the super farm, basically, to try and get those 70,000 or 75,000 tokens. So one thing that I want to talk about is, like, because say Mark R, like, so he's from the Recon Ranch. He's the guy that came up talking about the DAOs. I've been in, because I'm in so many Discords and other projects. I've got a lot of people into super farming, especially with people like that. And when they have DAOs, and I'm telling them, I'm like, look, Ellio is a genius, and you can buy an Epic, EllioTrades or Super Farm Genesis, and you'll have a direct link to be able to talk to this guy. So the thing that's happened, though, for me with the Epics, the Legendaries, and the Rare, and I think a lot of people are annoyed about this, is where there was such a drive in Neo Tokyo, and there's been next to nothing, like there's no value being given to those Epics, which I'm telling people to buy them at 45, saying it's a bargain. And it's just been such a long time when nothing's happened. I'm starting to feel like I've stopped onboarding people, because I'm just like, geez, I need more info to make sure like we're all good, because I hate like losing people money at the end of the day. So is all the stuff that's tied to the Epics, the Legendaries, the Rare, is that all still going forward? It's all tied to the DAOs and future games? Like, when are they going to actually have value compared to something which was launched at 10 compared to 0.25? Where's that actually coming in from?
Yeah, so I do want to keep this focused on Impostors, but I will say that we do have plans for the EllioTrades collection and the Super Farm Genesis collection. We are aware that, kind of what we wanted to do was just reward everyone who's been around. And so that was why we didn't differentiate on the whitelists so far between the rares and the epics and the commons. We just wanted everyone who's a part of this community to get access to Impostors because of the journey it's going to be. However, we also are very aware that we have different tiers there, and we'll be focusing on that. It's been all hands on deck with Impostors and Marketplace, but there are plans for that in the future. And so, yeah, I'm very aware that we are sort of giving everyone a similar utility right now with these whitelists. And so in the future, though, we do have plans as to why different rarities will have different value props.
Awesome. That's fantastic. It's nice to chat to you finally.
Yeah, thank you as well. I hope you're going
And
well,
yeah,
and
I love
thank
your
you so
work,
much.
and that's what, yeah, I've learned so
Thank you
much
so.
from you, and I went all in NFTs. So literally, I'm holding very few coins right now, so I'm just going to take some risk off the table in this next little pump, I think.
Yeah, well, obviously NFTs are quite an interesting part of the market, and when I first started covering them, I'm sure you remember, I was pretty clear that what I think will happen here is most of this will go to zero, and there will be a few blue chip collections that stick around and become insane assets. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the NFT coverage, and I think the people who were really paying attention early on in May and June when I started covering Bored Apes and the emerging NFT movement. I've heard from a lot of people that that was a defining change in their journey, and that they'd had an incredible amount of success since. So I hope that's you as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, thanks very much for all your work. And I hope, I bought a computer, a gaming computer, and I haven't even used it yet. Just getting ready for all this stuff. So can't wait to actually put that to use.
Let's do it. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
awesome,
so much
mate.
for coming up. Thank you for all the
I'll
support
see you in
over
there.
the months, man. Thanks.
I'll see you in there, and I hope to put a knife through your face.
I look forward to
Yeah.
it. I look forward
Awesome,
to
Good
it.
mate.
speaking to you, man.
Cheers.
Good
Nice
to see
checking
you,
you.
Prima. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, brother. All right. I think how many more do you want to take? Are you keen for a few more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Iceberg, welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me up. I appreciate it, Puma. What's up, Ellio? Appreciate all the stuff you've been doing for the game. Really, my question was kind of already answered, to be honest with you, when he was asking about, I guess the public mint. I just feel as if like public mints kind of open up opportunity for like bots to get in and people who aren't really like involved with like the project or the community. And I guess my question is, how you feel about bots just being able to take over and just like mint and I guess do as they will with I guess the NFTs that they were able to mint.
Yeah, well, we had intended to do a Dutch auction, and then we got rocks thrown at us. And the point of a Dutch auction is to set the price higher than what you think it might be, or set it above where bots would likely come in. And that's an anti-bot mechanism, right? A Dutch auction. It allows community to filter in at the price they feel it's worth. What community demanded was to kill that, and so we killed it. We have the whitelist, and we have a limit per transaction, and we have a limit per wallet. And so the limits on wallet holdings and transaction holdings are intended to curb sort of mass buys, whale buys, bot buys. And we had originally proposed a different system that got shot down. However, the reality is that we understand that first come first serve is problematic. The reality is that at a certain point, we made it very clear what people could do to get into the whitelist. People had over a month to figure out how to get into the whitelist if they wanted to, and so we've given people ample opportunity. At a certain point, we don't know how many people are going to participate in the whitelist. And so there needs to be an opening of the gates at some point to non-whitelisters, right? Because we've taken precautions. We proposed an initial system that would have most likely had almost no botting, and yeah. So at a certain level, though, people all have their own lives going on. Some people have some people just get drunk the night before and they forget to go get their whitelist mint. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't sell the item. And so at a certain point, we open it up to public. We don't think public should have the same price as whitelist. We think there should be a cheaper price for whitelist that comes along with the privilege of having been committed to the ecosystem. We think you should have no competition to mint. You should have 24 hours to mint at your leisure as a whitelist minter at a cheaper price. And yeah, I mean, look, we've done what we can at a certain level. The issues of bots are things that are industry wide and things that are sort of not necessarily our not necessarily our problem to fix. We've tried various ways. People wanted to fix price mint. People didn't want Dutch auction. People, we opened up an opportunity for anyone and everyone to solve a riddle and get on the whitelist. Very few people were able to solve it. Maybe we made it too hard, but to be fair, I've done a bunch of these riddles, and I'm always shocked. Someone solves it usually in like 10 minutes. And so, like, I did this one about 2 weeks ago, this like random historical figure, and I did some riddle about it on my Twitter, and there was a right answer like 10 minutes later. I was like, what the F is going on? Like, how do these people do it? And what's crazy is the person actually input the answer 4 times, but it was the same answer. They just wrote it different ways just to be sure that their answer was submitted right. And I was like, they knew they didn't have any question. It's not like they spammed a bunch of different answers. They literally knew the answer. So in the end, I was assuming that probably 1,000, maybe 2,000 people would get the answer. And so, that didn't happen. And so we tried to give a lot of opportunities for people who took time and showed their commitment to the ecosystem. This time we thought, a Ready Player One quote would be, that would definitely, especially after all the hints. I mean, I was given hint after hint trying to spell it out. I was literally like, someone put it in the pinned post in the last 24 hours. There's only 3 pinned posts. And so it was like, we felt like we were spoon feeding it to the community because we wanted people to get it. So I feel like we've tried to get the people who really want to be in. And we've done our part here, and maybe there'll be some bots. Hopefully a lot of people who want it get it. And in the end, chances are by the time a week goes by, in theory, if someone bots it, maybe they'll actually just sell them cheap on the marketplace. So maybe it'll be actually better than if a bunch of diehards get their hands on them in that first block, because they'll end up selling them to other people who want to come in cheaper. Maybe it'll make when I say better, maybe better for someone who didn't get into the whitelist. But again, it's sort of like we're building games, we're building platforms, we're building smart contracts, we're building community, we're building content. We can't solve the bot problem here in crypto just alone, because the reality is that we proposed a mechanism that wouldn't be botted, and that was rejected. So without whitelisting the whole 10,000, which again, even if that happened, there would still be a percentage, 5, 10, 20, 30% of people who just don't show up. So it would still go to public, man, and there would still be the same problem, right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah.
And thanks for your question. I don't mean to I'm just trying to show you that we've thought about this stuff, and we try to, we have some really brilliant folks on the team. Our chief architects, our CTOs, our head of smart contract developments, very brilliant folks, and we do our best to use whatever mechanisms we can to make things the best possible experience. And I think what you'll be seeing, especially as this game is coming very close to our marketplace release, we have something going up very soon. I don't want to put it up. I don't want to say maybe it's already up. But we're looking on every side of the smart contract for optimizations, and we've even been able to optimize the gas required for mint, even a little bit more than what we've seen everyone else do, just by being creative with the way we do the smart contract. So we're doing our best. Iceberg, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get a public mint, and I hope you beat the bots if they do show up. So cheers, man.
Hey man, I appreciate the well wishes, and thank you for taking my question, bro.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, man.
Hey, what's going on, Ellio? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hold on a second. Okay, I can hear you now. So hey, yeah, I'm from Neo Tokyo. Super stoked for Impostors mint, and I heard you mention before that Neo Tokyo would somehow be involved with Impostors, or that Impostors would follow a Neo Tokyo kind of pattern. I was just wondering if you would mind expanding on that a little bit.
Yes, so there's a few points here. One is that Neo Tokyo. One of the reasons I was so excited about the Neo Tokyo project is I wanted a group of like-minded individuals who had the same mission to support and build the metaverse. And one of the reasons I wanted that is because I wanted this group of individuals to help take the game I was working on and help really kick in the tires and grow the community and be that base layer to grow this incredible ecosystem around. The EllioTrades community is awesome, but we created this community, the EllioTrades community, the NFT community, before we really saw the format that the NFT sort of explosion would take. These came out before Bored Ape by months, right? The EllioTrades NFTs. And so I love my EllioTrades holders, and they're my ride or dies. But when I was talking with Becker, the sort of mission and the position for Neo Tokyo was clearly very different than the EllioTrades mission or than the Impostors mission. However, very synergistic and a perfect synergy. In fact, perfectly aligned for a project like Impostors, right? And so, the way that Neo Tokyo is being involved is by being given a chance to help build this community and helping a base layer to help grow the Impostors project, as well as getting priority access. The second way that it's involved from a game theory perspective is that some of the game theory that Alex and I came up with for the Neo Tokyo rollout has been expanded upon for the game theory of the Impostors Genesis season. Now, I want to be very clear. The point of Impostors is not to support the best projects in the metaverse. It's to be the best project in the metaverse, right? And so that's the goal of Impostors. It is not a replacement or any kind of diminishing of Neo Tokyo. It's an opportunity for Neo Tokyo to show that this group is the best minds to help evolve, iterate, and support and grow this metaverse. It's actually a perfect opportunity to show that the mission of that Neo Tokyo gamification can really that the goal of all these crazy things we did to create this community can show that we got the right people in the gate that believe in this mission, that understand how important it is, and here's an opportunity. And so that's part of it. The gamification layer on the Genesis season is something that is somewhat inspired by the Citizen upload, but it in a way that has had the benefit of seeing some of the strengths of the Citizen upload and expanding on it even more with the blood staking and some of the other aspects and some of the side mode gamifications. And then finally, the involvement. Sort of my fantasy is that these modes like pets and UFOs, the mechanics of them, effectively pets is a battle game, a PvP battle game with equipable sub NFTs, and the UFOs is a race game with equipable sub NFTs. The goal is to make these interoperable in the future, such that other game modes with NFTs and equipable sub NFTs could potentially engage in crossplay or use the platform as a base for their own ecosystems. Now, I want to be really clear, like this is super experimental stuff. This is not something that there's a clear deadline on or a plan on, but there is a thought around it. And so, in my fantasies here and in my plans, I'd like to see a cross-play mode between one of the metaverse modes and something in Neo Tokyo. I think that would be really cool, and I think it would evolve the industry. And I think it would be, I think it would be a first of its kind, right? We haven't seen that. So those are the sort of mental iterations that I've been on. These are some of the. I don't know if you guys see the meme of Charlie from Always Sunny, where he's got all the things on the board behind him. But that's how I feel when I'm sort of describing some of these things. And I'm lucky to have an insanely talented team, and very soon we'll have an even bigger team. But what I want to be very clear about is we need to achieve our first objectives before we move on to secondary objectives. So Impostors must focus on its core gameplay, its core rollout, its closed beta. And then as we start rolling out metaverse modes, it's going to be fun to experiment with, what's possible for involving different NFT ecosystems in things like a battle mode, what a crossplay mode might look like for that. So I want to be clear, like this stuff isn't built yet, but it's ideas that I had of ways that would be really cool to have, unification between NFT ecosystems, not just between NeoTokyo and Impostors, but even further than that. So does that answer all your questions?
Yeah, I think that answers all my questions. Thank you so much. I think what you're building is going to be like looked at as like a benchmark for these crypto games that are going to come out. Because I mean, obviously, you and Becker like know what you're doing in this space, so I'm super excited to see it and finally have like a good crypto game come out. So yeah, thank you so much. That answered my questions. Appreciate it.
Likewise, brother. Grand Rising. Thanks for coming out.
All right.
Let's keep it
Professor.
rolling.
All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it short there a little bit. They're asking questions that are either have been covered before, or you could simply go to the website, look at the impostorsgg.website that I have linked in the chat. So yeah, and you can also just go directly to the Discord if you want to check out more information there. But yeah, that's overall pretty good information, And if you haven't seen the video, we're going to go ahead and play that real quick, what that looks like. So let me go ahead and go over to this other mode just real quick. So this is the game mode right here that was it's like pre-alpha stuff right here. So this is before they layered in a lot of different other things. So what we're looking at is kind of like pre-alpha stuff right here, the gameplay and what it kind of looks like, right? This is kind of the general idea of what we can expect from Impostors. Now, these are like the free skins Ellio was talking about, kind of the Pepe looking skins, if you will. And so, yeah, that's kind of funny and kind of cool. But yeah, the aliens, like what they're talking about, what they have been talking about is the Genesis aliens, which you don't see really any here. But people will know that you have a Genesis alien if you are able to mint one, if you're lucky enough to mint one. So yeah, that's really all I got for this stream, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know it was kind of a long one, and I too have to tune out and get to other things and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the thumbs up button if you did as well, and hit that sub and bell so you don't miss more streams and things like that. We obviously cover a lot of different NFT games here on the channel, as well as NFT topics, and of course, big projects into Mutable X like VeVe, HRO or Hero, and in Illuvium. So yeah, that's all I got. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching and sticking around. Much appreciated. And hopefully you're able to mint one of those Genesis imposter aliens here coming up very shortly. All the information, as I mentioned, is in the chat. You can go to medium.com /@impostors, and then you can go to impostors.gg if you want to check more information out, and I'll link it in the description below. But I am out. I'll see you guys in the next stream, in the next video, and at the blockchain. And as always, be like an NFT, be authentic, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Crypto swag, I'm running it up. Brand new bag, when the crypto pump, I'm a crypto pump, crypto pump, crypto pump, crypto pump, crypto pump, blockchain stuff. I got some ETH, still running it up. They can't believe, they fumbled enough. We buy the reef, NFT went up. We some crypto pumps, we do what we want. Got my tokens up, like we don't have enough, yeah. Had to test my luck, we keep going up. They don't get it yet, we some crypto punks, yeah. Crypto swag, I'm running it up. Brand new band, when the crypto pump, I'm a crypto pump. Crypto pump, crypto pump, crypto pump. NFTs, they on Ethereum. They said all hyper delirium. We on open sea, not aquarium. When the moonlight playing.